Hi everybody, I have another holiday project and it's to make these two centerpieces, and basically what they are is glass vases that I decorated and filled with paper stars. And I'm going to show you how I decorated one vase and how to make the paper stars. These are an origami star called Lucky Paper Stars, so you could probably find instructions written on the internet in a variety of places. And I'm just starting with an old square vase that I had received some flowers in, and I'm going to hot glue a piece of silk all the way around the bottom, and it's a 3-inch wide piece of silk, and these vases are about 5.5-inch cubes. And I'm just going to use hot glue to put the vase down, and I had put that painter's tape on the top because I wanted to make sure I left plenty of room at the top for the stars, but then I just lined the lace up with the bottom, so there was no reason for me to put that painter's tape on it, and I didn't use it on the next vase. And so I'm just laying a line of glue around so I can just glue the silk around it to make a little skirt. And now I'm adding more hot glue so I can add my ribbon. And this is just a wide satin ribbon with a wire running through it, and it's a chocolate brown with a blue stitched edge. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to use hot glue to glue it all the way around my vase so that it forms a band. And I'm going to do the same thing with both vases. They're both just going to have different ribbons. You can see them sitting right there. So now I'm going to decorate one of the vases, and I've used my Bow Easy to tie this piece of ribbon in a bow, and I'm going to thread one of these keys through the bow, and this is one of those Michaels keys. And then I'm going to use hot glue to secure the ribbon in place to the key. So once I have the ribbon kind of where I want it, I'm just going to lift it up so that I can put hot glue underneath it so that the ribbon won't slide around or unravel or anything like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the key end of the ribbon to a crocheted flower, and that is going to be the decoration for the front of one of my vases. And so here I am just gluing it to the crocheted flower, and then I'm going to glue the whole crocheted flower to the vase. So I'm just getting it glued down here, and I'm just pulling any of my glue strings, and I have glimmer mist all over my hands. It's gross. And so now I'm just adding some more stuff to the vase. This is another Prima flower. It's just a little gauzy flower. It's pretty cute. And I didn't do traditional Christmas colors or even traditional winter colors on this because I kind of wanted to be able to use these as home decor the rest of the year if I felt like it. And so now I'm just adding a little paper Prima flower up at the top there. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add a Maya Wrote stick pin. So I'm just putting hot glue on the stick pin, and then I'm going to stick it behind the crocheted flower. So I'm just lifting up the edge of the crocheted flower, and then I'm holding it down. And it just gives it some more depth and adds a little touch of gray to it. And then for more gray, I'm going to actually come in and add a button from Holtz. This is from the first set of buttons that he put out. And so that's going to keep with the silver and gray. And then going off the silver and gray, I'm going to add this Prima bling. And this is a piece of the Prima satin pearls with lace. And I just cut the lace off because I actually don't like the lace on those too much. But it's still a pretty pearl flourish, so I'm going to use it like that. And you can see how it hangs over. I'm just going to wrap it around the edge. And later on, it did come a little unglued because the glue on the embellishment didn't stick to the fabric so well, so I just glued it back down later with the liquid glue. So now you see it's pretty much put together. I just want to add a Holtz Adage ticket that says wish, since they're lucky paper stars and like wishing on a star. And so now I'm going to show you how to make the stars. And basically this is an 8.5-inch by 11-inch piece of printer paper, which I sprayed with glimmer mist and sand and then allowed to dry. And this stamp is a musical note stamp from Impression Obsession. And it's a big stamp. It's about 5.5 by 5.5. And I'm inking it with Color Box Fluid Chalk ink in dark brown. And I'm just going to use it to completely cover the paper. If you're going to use stamping for this, you want a dense pattern like this musical notes. And now I'm cutting my 8.5 inch by 11 inch piece of pattern paper or printer paper into 8 1 inch by 11 inch strips. And then there's a 1/2 inch strip left over that I threw out. And I want 1 inch by 22 inch strips for these stars though. So now I'm just going to take 2 of the pieces of paper and tape them back to back. Well, tape them end to end on the back of the paper that's white, and it won't show at all if you the tape, so you can just use any kind of tape for this. You don't have to use special tape. So in the end, one 8.5 inch by 11 inch piece of paper is going to yield me 4 of these strips. So you're going to be able to get 4 of these stars out of 1 piece of paper. And I actually used 20 pieces of paper for this because I needed about 100 stars. And this is how you do it. You start by looping one end of the paper around the other so it makes a shape like an awareness ribbon. And then you're going to take the long end and push it through the hole. And you're going to basically make a paper knot. And so just keep pulling it through. You want to keep your small end as small as possible. So I just kind of work the paper through the knot with my thumbs and pull the long end. And I just keep futzing with it until I get this pentagon shape rather on this knotted end. And what you're after is as close to a perfect pentagon as possible. So just keep working with it until you get that pentagon shape. And then once you have the pentagon shape, you can crease it with your fingers. And it can take a little bit of doing to get your knot exactly right. But see here now I do have my pentagon shape. And you can see it even better there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little tail and I'm going to fold it back and crease it, and then I'm going to tuck the ends inside the little pentagon shape so that they're not sticking out. And so you'll be left with what looks kind of like a kite with a tail. And you're just going to keep folding that up and around. And it'll show you how it wants to be folded. Each way it'll sort of angle in a different direction. So just follow its folds and keep wrapping it around and creasing as you go, and just wrap it around some more and crease as you go. And you just keep wrapping it until you run out of paper, basically. So you can see here, just wrapping, wrapping, wrapping. And I'm creasing with my thumb and finger. It doesn't have to be an extremely crisp crease like you would have from a bone folder. It can be just with your fingers. And here my tail was not long enough to go all the way around, but just a little too long. So I just cut a little bit off the end. And now, just like the first one, I'm tucking it inside the shape. So now you will have this folded pentagon shape. So now that you have that, hold it between your fingers on one side like this, and then come in with your fingernail and just smush it in so that it makes that little crimped Pac-Man shape. And then just keep going around the pentagon doing that over and over again. So just holding the sides between your fingers and pushing it in and pushing it in and pushing it in, and you'll get a star. And once you have your basic star shape, you can kind of pinch it a little bit and work with it a little bit to get a more perfect star. But basically that's what happens is when you push in the sides, it puffs up and it makes this cute puffy little star. And if you look at the left side of your screen, you can see that the vases are filled with shredded paper. That's just to minimize the amount of stars that I had to make. I did have to make 100 of these stars to fill both vases, even with adding the shredded paper. But I basically added shredded paper all the way to the top of the ribbon. And so now here you can see the 2 vases as they're filled with the cute paper little stars, and how each vase says wish on it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have fun making your own stars.